Zim and boom, everyone! Yada, yada, yada. It is 7 o'clock on the East Coast, and finally, we are live for episode number 21 of According to Spiky Dash. Spiky Dash here with you. Apologies again for the pushback, for the delays. Busy times in life, weather delays, you name it, it happened. I pushed this back too many times. So it is Wednesday. It is August 22nd, and we're live, and we've got a lot to discuss. As you probably can tell by the title of this episode, this is not going to be the usual full-on perkiness of ATSD as you might have normally seen in the past. I got a couple things to rant about to start this off. It's not going to start off rosy. It will end that way with a couple good stories, but I've got a lot to discuss pony-wise to kick things off. We have convention news to talk about, and a couple different things with that. And, of course, I'm going to share my thoughts on, and there are a lot of thoughts, on the last few episodes. And, yes, it's not going to be the rosiest of recaps on these because, boy, I mean, I'm going to say this. I mean, in generic terms, and I've tweeted about this multiple times, but this second half of season 8 so far, like, was Mean 6 like the first domino that fell to like the season of jerks? I mean, honestly, that is really how these first wave of episodes have been ever since the hiatus ended. From my personal opinion, we really haven't gotten a whole lot of great episodes. Now, granted, the season prior to the hiatus, the season really, it has given us some really great episodes, some kind of in the middle, average episodes, and then a couple that were just like off the wall bad, like fake it till you make it, bad. Non-compete clause, bad. Mean 6, really bad. I mean, really, really bad episodes. But I gotta say, so far, this second half of the 5 episodes since Mean 6, since the hiatus ended, of the 5 episodes that we've gotten so far this season, I've only really liked one. Another one was good, not great. And the other 3 were just really cringeworthy bad. I mean, like, bad on a level like those episodes I mentioned for the first time. Like, really bad. Like, I don't know what Hasbro is setting up for. I don't know what their aim is with this second half. I don't know what it's entailing. Because the finales sometimes always seem to surprise us. Like, because when we watch a finale, we see the bits and pieces that were throughout the season. We're like, oh, okay, now it kind of makes sense. And maybe we'll get that again with season 8. But it's like, at this point, it's like, I don't know what their aim is here. I don't know what they're going for. Obviously, I think the student's going to play a role in it somehow, I hope. Because so far, really, the most enjoyable episodes that I've seen, at least so far from the second half, involve the Student 6. And I've liked the Student 6 from the start. Best 2, of course, are Smolder and Ocellus. But it's like I've been ingrained in their episodes more than anything because of, just, again, because I've always liked the Dragons and the Changelings, at least the Changelings ever since they've reformed. But I've been ingrained in their backstories and, and what they're doing at the school, what they're learning at the school, and that kind of thing. Every other episode has just been a huge disappointment. So I'm going to dive into the episodes here in a little bit. I'm not going to start with that right away. But, it's just, I don't know what Hasbro's going for. I don't understand their aim. Why are you making characters, why are you bringing back characters that are jerks have known to be jerks, are looking like jerks, acting like jerks, jerkish behavior. I don't understand where that's going. I don't understand where that's coming from. I don't get that. I don't really understand their aim there. But we'll get to the episodes in a minute and how I feel about some of them. Let's start, though, with conventions. Let's start with some of the lifeblood of the fandom. If you read the news recently, which I'm sure many of you in the fandom have, it was announced this, I think, past month at BronyCon that the 2019 edition of BronyCon will be the last one. That, of course, came as a huge shock to myself, to all, I'm pretty sure all the fandom was surprised. But at the end of the day, I really can't blame the staff for doing this. The attendance had been on the decline, and it's happening with a lot of conventions. The attendance has been declining in recent years, and it takes, if Winnie City or any other con is any indication, the one that I go to is any indication, it takes time, it takes a lot of money, and it takes a lot of effort and a great team of people around you just to run a successful convention, just to maintain it, just to manage it. And it's not that BronyCon was becoming a failure by a stretch, but the attendance numbers were going down. It topped out in 2015 at over 10,011 attendees, a record clearly for any pony-related convention. So it was and has been the marquee convention to attend. But the numbers had gone down steadily over the past several years. It was down to about 7,000 the year after that, then like to 6,000 in 2017, and then it was down to about 5,600 this year. So nearly a 50% drop-off from 3 years ago. So that is pretty staggering. And now the BronyCon staff did come out and say that, they're not in any financial hurt. They're not. They've been in the black. They've met their budget every single year. But the way that they see it, they don't want BronyCon to kind of go into a fade and then just an end on a whimper. And I agree with them on that. I think that would be a horrible way for any convention to go out. You want to end it strong, like Equestria LA or what Nightmare Nights did, or or any of the conventions that fall by the wayside. That had success. You want to end on a positive note. You want to go out strong, and so I completely understand the decision for that, and I love the fact that they're expanding it to 4 days for 2019. I love that idea. It's always been a three-day convention, but I love the fact that for this last year they're expanding it to 4 days, and BabsCon actually is doing the same thing for their 2019 edition, I believe, next year as a result. So I think that's cool. Added day, added time to do things, added incentive. Yay, additional days. That's cool. So I'm all for that. What I'm not all for is the reaction of so many others, and I don't know if they're in the fandom, not in the fandom, kind of hard to tell. People freaking out, freaking the buck out, it's, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, BronyCon is ending. The fandom is dying now. Calm down. Take a chill pill. Seriously, calm the fuck down. Okay. How much, honestly, this fandom has been through so many different things of drama and change and conventions ending, and we're still here. We're still okay. We're still thriving. I even saw on Twitter, like, there was a post, like, of all these different things. Like, they said the Phantom was going to die when this happened, and this happened, and this happened. When Twilight got her wings, and the thing with Derpy happened, and this happened, and this happened. And we're still here. We haven't gone anywhere. It's like, oh, geez, people. Okay, so the biggest convention isn't going to be around anymore. Okay, I mean, it had a great run. These conventions, you know, the fact that they even last that long is a testament to the fandom and to the people that run the convention, you know, and to that success. That's a testament to how passionate we are and how, you know, awesome as fans we are. That's a testament to that. But for gosh sakes, just calm down. Like, seriously, it's not the end. It's not the end. It's the end of a great convention, yes, but it wants to end on a high note, and that's the way it should be. It does not mean that the fandom is dying, that it's going away. I mean, is it on the decline? In a way, yes, because you know, and there could be a number of reasons why the numbers have gone down. Could it be the fandom shrinking? Maybe. Could it be the fact that sometimes it takes a lot for people to invest, put their time and money into going? Some people like me traveling to Baltimore to get there. Yeah, I mean there are a number of different reasons, I'm sure, why numbers have gone down. So, but it's just this over the top reaction is what gets me. It's like, you know, it doesn't have to be that over the top. You know, we're still going to keep going. And here's the thing, and BronyCon's not the only con that's ending. Crystal Mountain in Utah just announced a couple weeks ago that this edition this year they're going to have, I think next weekend, the weekend of the 31st, is going to be their last year. So, and they've had like a 7-year run themselves. So, you know, here's the thing with a convention. You know, if you make it past year 1, that should be considered a success in and of itself. You know, God forbid we have another Las Pegasus Unicon, anyone. That disaster. I mean, you know, if you make it past year 1, that's a start in and of itself. You've set a firm foundation. You make it past year 1, and then I'd say if you get to 5 years, then you know you're doing something right. And there are a ton of conventions that are still up. You know, yeah. So we're losing the big one. Okay, we're losing the big one, but I tell you what, as of this moment, and that doesn't even include, you know, so this doesn't include BronyCon, this doesn't include Crystal Mountain. As of this moment, including with new cons being announced as recently as this month, 10. There are still 10 active, at least that I have counted and I have seen online. That may not be an accurate number from what I have seen. There are still 10 active pony conventions across the United States alone, not including the ones that are international around the world. Galacon in Germany, that's a big deal. You know, BronyCon was huge for a while in Canada before it had to end. But, you know, not including the ones overseas, we still have 10 active conventions here in the States. Now, granted, 3 of those are brand new. 3 of those were just announced for either next year or 2020. HarmonyCon, which is in Dallas. So basically, I don't know if the goal of that is to replace Nightmare Nights per se. It's going to be the same hotel where Nightmare Nights was, the Crown Plaza in Addison. But, you know, is that its aim? I don't think so. But, you know, I don't think there'll ever be another one like Nightmare Nights. But there's a con in Dallas again. So I'm sure people in that area are thrilled about that. So there's that one for next year. Sequestria Fest was just announced recently. Now, granted, that is in the same area as Baltimore. It's going to be in Ocean City, Maryland, in that area. So, but again, probably not their aim to replace BronyCon. But by the same token, it's a convention, and there's not a whole lot of detail on it yet. There's no dates on it yet. There's no official location yet, but we know it's going to be in that general area. And then just announced a few days ago, it started out as Brony Pegasister Con, and now it changed its name to Friendship Pony Con because there was a change in the convention management. That's going to be in Knoxville, Tennessee in 2020. So we have new conventions springing up. And I'm sure that these are also, I know the advice usually from con heads that have done it for years is don't start a convention. You know, that's kind of their advice. And I guess that's sound advice. But only if you're doing it, and I tweeted this, only if you're doing it for the right reasons. Don't do it just to replace fill-in-the-blank convention. Don't do it just to replace BronyCon, or don't do it just to replace Nightmare Nights, or what have you, fill-in-the-blank. Don't do it just for that. Do it with the right reasons. Get yourself a good team of people. Sit down, hash things out, budgets, so you don't fall into financial debt, which has happened to a lot of these conventions that have failed. Do the right things for the right reasons. So we have those 3 new conventions popping up, along with the 7 that have been now. I know Crystal Fair in St. Louis just came back recently. And we have the 6 well-established ones that are still out there. BabsCon in San Francisco, Everfree Northwest in Seattle, TrotCon in Columbus, Winnie City in Schaumburg. What else am I'm missing? 2 others. But High Roller in Vegas, which is coming back next year. So, and Ponyville Cider Fest, which is, by the way, around the corner in October. There are still these established conventions, and they have come out and they have said that as long as people keep showing up to these conventions, they will still have them. So, for gosh sakes, is worrying about the end of BronyCon going to help at all? No, it's not. It's like worrying about anything in life. It's not going to help the situation at all. It's not going to help. What is going to help is still going to the conventions that are out there, still supporting the ones that are going strong. If you want to keep this fandom strong and running, and in that kind of regard, keep going to, support the ones that are still around, support the ones that are there, support these new conventions that are popping up. I'm sure there's a lot, these new conventions, they're probably, have a little bit of worry in them. How's that first year going to go? Support them, reach out to them, say, hey, is there anything I can do to help potentially, especially if you're in the area, if you're in the Dallas area, or if you're in the Ocean, Maryland area, or if you're in the Knoxville area, find out a way to reach out to the organizers and see if there's anything you can chip in, whether big or small. It will probably make a difference somehow. So while it is unfortunate that BronyCon is ending after a great run, and while it's unfortunate that Crystal Mountain is ending after a great run, support the ones that are still around. Support the ones that are, that right now, apparently from what I'm hearing, have it for the long haul. Yes, it's true. They may not be around forever, but what will last? The friendships that you make out of those conventions, the memories that you make at those conventions. I can't tell you, in just the 2 years that I have been to Winnie City, I cannot tell you the memories that I have made at those conventions, the friends that I have made, whether in person or on Twitter, the relationships that I made out of that. I can't tell you how much that has affected me. I am blown away. I always am. And it's so nice to have those moments with people that you relate to. That's what's going to last. That's going to be the staying power. And if you do that, then they'll keep going. They'll keep thriving. And, and if they have to end, at least hopefully they go out like BronyCon and go out with a bang and a high note. And that's what they want to do. So now I do want to say one brief thing about Crystal Mountain. There's been a lot of stuff posted on Crystal Mountain via Horse News, which I do follow on Twitter, and I read a lot of stuff about. And there's been a lot of things out there, regarding to its end, and really how no one should be surprised that convention is ending. There have been, how do I put this? There have been a lot of reasons for its end, like poor communication amongst the staff, travel issues, complaints among the vendors, different things. So I guess in that regard, I can't say that I'm overly surprised that Crystal Mountain is ending. And here's the thing, and I want to put this slightly. I don't want to say this is a knock, but it kind of is. Like, you're in Provo, Utah. You're not exactly in a major metropolitan city, and I'm surprised Crystal Mountain actually lasted as long as it did. For being in Provo, a very small city in Utah, not exactly a major like Salt Lake City or what have you. For going on as long as it did, I applaud them for that. But I read about these issues that they have had, and it really makes me wonder sometimes if they have the attendees, the vendors' best interests at heart. And it's stuff like that really that irks me more than anything. BronyCon ending, that I can understand. Attendance going down, want to go out with a bang. Totally cool with that. Crystal Mountain, with this stuff coming out, really kind of it overshadows it, and and I'm hoping it doesn't. But at the end of the day, it does kind of put a black mark on it. Like, it's tough. I hate to see a convention end that way. I hate to see anything in the fandom end like that. But then it becomes a thing of, okay, what is true and what's not? Does it matter if he said, she said, they said, it said, what's true and what isn't? Although Horse News has been pretty accurate in their reporting, they did break the Toon Critic story first. They broke the KP story first. So I do find them pretty reliable. But so I don't know. It's a lot to take in. And they were right, and the source they got the information from said, oh, well, don't be surprised when the announcement comes from the convention's going to be last year. And lo and behold, they were right. So I have to find that pretty reputable. But then you delve into the information and you read it, and it's like, wow, okay, clearly there were issues here. Clearly there were numerous factors that led to this end. But again, I applaud Crystal Mountain for making it that long in such a smaller city. But when you read all of that and really dive into it, it kind of hits a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. You can check out, go to Horse News website. I think it's like horse-news.net or horse-news.net, something like that, for more information on that. But I hope that they have a successful last convention. I hope they don't end with a whimper. I hope that is not too much of a black mark on the end of their convention. I hope that their last weekend is a success. I would never wish ill will upon a convention unless there was a real good reason behind it. Unless there was so yeah, a number of issues led to the demise. And that's, I guess, in a way understandable, but at the same token, these are people, these are their lives. Some of this, with being the vendors, is their livelihood. You want to accommodate them, and if they don't feel that way, then they get rightly frustrated. So it's kind of like, maybe not a double-edged sword, but it's kind of like, okay, yeah, you want to go out with a bang, but at the same token, make sure you fix all of this. Make sure this pot of drama that's kind of been cooked up here, you know, like Sakura cooking up a cauldron of whatever, you know, doesn't stain the end that the convention wants to have. And again, I hope it doesn't, but it does just make you think a little bit, and it does, you know, I don't know, it just puts a dent on things. So but in that, you know, so I wish the best for Crystal Mountain. I hope they have a great last weekend, and obviously next year I'm hoping that the last BronyCon is not only gets to 10,000, breaks that attendance record, goes out with a huge success, and I'm sure it will. With that being said, right now, tentative convention plans for myself, Nate, and Sarah for 2019. Tentative. Obviously, we're going to keep going to Winning City. I mean, that's a given. As long as Winning City's around, we're going to Winning City. That's a given. Period. You can book it. Done. That's a given. And we're going to keep trying to sponsor it every year, at least at the bare minimum Earth level. You know, and that's what Nate and Sarah were last year. I only got to get the upgrade at Pegasus last year because, thankfully, again, Morgan was willing to give up because she couldn't make it. And thank you again for that, because that was an unforgettable experience. But at the bare minimum this year, we're going to at least try to get to, I believe, unicorn sponsorship. I will explain why she's here later. She is also part of this episode. You know, but we were at least going to try to get to that level of sponsorship for 2019. So Winnie City, yes, for sure. We were also thinking of potential other ones that are close to us, like TrotCon in Columbus, or Ciderfest in Milwaukee, as possible second options. We want to broaden our horizons a little bit. I've mentioned that on here plenty of times. As great as Winning City is, and as great it will always be to us, we want to branch out a little bit, at least to maybe other ones that are, you know, still, you know, maybe it's a little bit of a drive, but still pretty close to home. But upon hearing that BronyCon is ending, and upon hearing it's going to be the last year, we are at least going to make the effort. We are at least going to try to get to BronyCon. And I will say this, from here, Baltimore is a 9-hour drive, and I know some of you are going to already going on me saying, "Oh, why don't you fly? Why don't you fly?" Well, here's the issue I have with that. I right now am not so fond of flying. Okay, because I don't know if some of you have read. There's some articles out there that are really kind of worrying me right now, because the TSA is not doing some nice things right now. They're actually, you know, from what I've read online, they are like taking like they're just checking whoever the heck they want to and randomly screening them. Like they're screening them, checking them. Even if you're not on a watch list, they're checking you. So that kind of freaks me out. So I am more than willing to make the drive. I don't know if Sarah will be, or we can trade off back and forth during the drive to Baltimore. We'll sort that out. But we want for sure to make it to the last BronyCon, because it's the last one ever. So right now, that is tentative, our plans. Winnie City for sure. We're going to try our darndest to get to the last BronyCon. And then from there, for future years, we want to try to get to TrotCon at least once. We want to try to get to Ciderfest at least once. And then maybe this convention in Knoxville, as long as it, you know, if it has a nice success. So, and I know there are others telling me, oh, you got to go to Everfree Northwest, or you got to go to BabsCon, or what have you. Well, the thing again, that's the thing. Those are way out on the West Coast. That would be a long drive for us. And again, not fond of flying. So I would love to make those happen, but that'd have to be like a miracle, like for me. So as much as I've heard great things about those cons, not going to diss them. I think Everfree Northwest I've heard many great things about. High Roller I heard great things about last year, but way too far. So we're at least going to make the effort. So that's the plans on that. That's kind of my take on the convention scene right now. I am happy that at least new cons are springing up. I'm happy that at least people are making the effort. Aim shouldn't be to replace the conventions that are closed. I'm at least glad they're making the effort to kind of get in on fandom, jump in and take a stand or get in there, at least make an effort. So I applaud them for that. So, but calm down, people, about the fandom dying. It's not. Just calm down. Just calm down. All right, that's my take on about about people's reactions and way conventions are ending in some regard. Again, I didn't say this was all going to be rosy, so. But now let's talk episodes. And again, for those of you who have not watched these yet, episodes 14 through 18, this would be the time now to kind of, if you want to move the volume, if you want to step away for a minute, if you want to, if you haven't seen these yet, by all means now feel free to mute whatever, because we're going to be diving right into these and how I feel about these episodes. Because some of them are, at least to me, quite painful. Very painful, in fact. In fact, so painful on one of them, I did something I've never done before in 8 seasons. Like, literally, I've never done that. All right. Are we good? Get a chance, people, for mute this now? Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and dive in. First off, Hasbro, thanks for not telling anybody that you aired an episode during the hiatus. Thanks for not telling, What the heck? No announcement, no nothing. Just oh, by the way, episode, nothing. No, thanks for not telling. July 20th, apparently, an episode aired and nobody knew about it. But it wasn't a very good one either. Yakety sacks. So supposedly this is episode 14, or some have said it's 18. I don't know. I'm kind of confused in that regard. I don't know. So now is it going to be 19 next week? I don't know. The numbers have now been completely thrown off. So apparently it was released prematurely. Gotcha. Thanks for that. But really, at the end of the day, it was one that really we didn't need. So the problem from the outset is apparently Pinkie Pie cannot, for the life of her, play an instrument that, it kind of reminded me of like bagpipes at first. It kind of reminded me of that. But it definitely, we could tell it looked like something, because obviously that's where she is the friendship ambassador. We all know that. And again, I emphasize she attempts to play this, but she plays it very poorly. Now, Fluttershy thinks it sounded like I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a creature in trouble. That's that poor creature. It sounds terrible. But she later discovers, no, it's Pinkie's poor musical skills. What is this instrument in question? Well, the guide actually called it something different. The guide said it was a Xenothrash, but then in the show you hear it as a Yovitaphone. Apparently the same thing, like tomato, but different names. So and Axar, go figure. But it is not supposed to sound the way that Pinkie is playing this instrument. And then right away, I already kind of sensed like this was going to be an honesty thing right away, because it's like, Pinkie wants to, or Fluttershy wants to tell her how it actually is terrible, but they don't want to hurt her feelings. Like, yeah, this is kind of going back into to that realm. So of course, Pinkie thinks they all enjoy it because they're not going to straight up tell her that she's terrible out of the box. And at least not right away, although Dash tried to do it, but now she's petrified as a result. Because, hello, I guess we need story and episode link. That's why you can't tell right away. Interesting subtlety note, though, and kind of a nod to not continuity here. Sorry, Silver. I like the moment where Rainbow Dash tried to put her hoof, like her whole hoof, in her ear. Like, she tried to put her whole hoof in her ear. But we saw her parents and parental guidance put their wing feathers in their ears. So, shouldn't she be able to do that? I digress. That's nitpicky. That's kind of nitpicky. I know I'm epic rant here, but that's nitpicky. So then, of course, we cue the montage where the playing of the Ovidophone makes the main six a living you-know-what. Just completely, it's like, at this point, it's like, some ponyteller, please end this madness. Like, set this, just please, some ponyteller, some creature teller, anybody. She's disrupting everything and every creature with this monstrosity. The Wonderbolts get second place in an air show. Rarity's fashion line is ruined. Applejack's orchard becomes all applesauce. And Fluttershy the next day is literally falling asleep because that plane kept her and her animals up all night. I've had sleepless nights because of storms and whatnot, but that, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. Some pony needs to tell her, like, at this point, the cold hard truth, and no matter how much it hurts, like, some pony needs to tell her. And of course, I forget who said it. I think Twilight said it. We are not using magic to solve this one. No, we're not doing that anymore. It's kind of a callback to Horseplay of trying to fix Celestia's acting with magic. No, we're not doing that again. No, not doing that. So eventually, finally, after that painstaking montage, they finally do confront Pinky about this. But at first, of course, none of them want to say it. None of them want to be the one to take the fall. None of them want to do it. It goes on and on down the line. Hey, Rarity has something to say to you. Or no, Dash does. Or no, now Twilight does. But Twilight finally is the last one, and she finally just puts it out there and says, you're not very good. You're disrupting everything. You gotta cut this out. You're not, we don't want you doing something you're not very good at, I think is how she put it. And surprisingly, Pinky takes it well. Like, she actually took it quite well. She just threw down the instrument, deflated, done. And they're thinking, phew, that went better than we thought. But it's like, but I'm thinking to myself here, no, like this is Pinky we're talking about. Like, she's, it can't be that easy with her. She's been crushed plenty of times when things and situations didn't go her way, and she was just like, her soul was nearly crushed. Like, whether it be tears or emotional wreck, like that has happened numerous times. Pinky, it cannot be that easy. And that night, sure enough, waterworks. She's crushed. But how crushed this time, you might ask? How about soul crushed? Like, to the point she's no longer her bubbly bright self. In fact, she's no longer pink. There's no color in her body at all. Like, gone. Like, completely gone. She's back to the depressive pink Amina that we saw at the start. Like, she has regressed back to that. So yeah, that's pretty soul crushing. When you have no zest for life anymore, like when you can't do the thing that your cutie mark says, which is bring enjoyment and laughter and excitement to people with something you love, that's how you end up. Like, it really is, in a way, it's a big topic, but in a way it kind of symbolizes depression. Really, I honestly, no joke. Like, and I know the writers have gone down past that before with other topics, but dang, this was really in that way intense. So the question became then, well, then how do we get Pinky back to normal? How do we get her back to herself? Well, let's try a montage of things that she does enjoy to do. It's not the only thing she likes, right? We've seen Pinky do numerous things before. Well, predictably, of course, nothing works. But then Twilight, of course, being Twilight, comes up with this idea, you know, hey, why don't we throw her an appreciation party? Why don't we show her how much she's appreciated by us and throughout Ponyville? Why don't we show her that? Well, it's a nice idea. It's a nice plan. But before that can happen, Maude shows up, of all ponies, and basically tells them Pinky packed up everything and guess what? And took it to the rock farm because guess why? She's moving to Yak-Yakistan. No joke. And I'm thinking to myself in this moment, Pinky, really? You love that instrument more than your friends in Ponyville so much that you want to move to Yak-Yakistan. Is your judgment really that clouded? And I hated to say this, like I really do, but not only is that shallow in that moment, that's really selfish, like really. And that is a trait, unfortunately, we've seen far too many times with her before. You know, remember how badly she wanted Maude to move to Ponyville, that she tried to force friendship upon her and Glimmy? I mean, really? You know, or the time that she made clones of herself. This is kind of becoming an epidemic with Pinky, and not in the good way. So, yeah, it's pretty bad. Season 8, what have you become? So now, in order to fix this issue, the main five, now our main five, go to Yak-Yakistan and then find some way to fix this mess. And I think to myself, gee, I wonder how they're going to fix it. Oh, yeah, by giving her instrument back, of course. How predictable is that? You could have seen that from a mile away. Of course. Of course. You knew. You knew this is how it's going to go. This episode, like, it started out strong, I guess, but, geez, the second half totally flopped it. I don't know why. Again, it was released early, but Hasbro, you made a mistake on this one. You really did. You made a big mistake here. You came out of the hiatus with this surprise, and then the episode that followed after that, which I'll get into here, which was another bad one. Jeez. At this point, I was thinking to myself, give us more Student 6. Give us more Student 6 episodes, because at this point, I was just sick and tired of depression and jerkishness. But it got no better. It got no better with episode 15. Matter of Principles. Oh! So bad, I didn't want to take off my glasses. I mean, by the way, Yakety Sax I gave 4 out of 10. 4 out of 10 stars. Had potential at the beginning. Flop second half. Matter of Principles, I gave 2 out of 10. 2 out of 10. It's that bad. It had some flashes, but pretty bad. 2 out of 10. I mean, wow. I didn't think it could possibly get any worse than Mean 6, Non-Compete Clause, Fake It Till You Make It, or Yakety Sax. But this, at the time, took the honor for worst episode of the season. At the time. There's one later that topped it. But this, and it's one of the worst in the history of the series. It is that. Now it starts out innocently enough. This episode starts out innocently enough. Twilight is teaching a lesson to students. Yay, Student 6. I love. Okay, good. And Ocellus. Oh, Ocellus, you with the books. Never stop being adorable, you. I love Ocellus. I love Ocellus. I love Smolder. I mean, I like all the students in 6 in general, but Ocellus and Smolder have grown the most on me. I love them. But then Yona notices Twilight's cutie mark is glowing. a friendship mission now in the middle of school, in the middle of a lesson, that's oddly convenient. But it's not just Twilight. It's all of our main six being called. And it's really far away. So far, it's going to take days to even get there. So they're going to be gone a while. So, Twilight, who does she decide to entrust to run the school while they're gone? Best guidance counselor and best pony. Starlight. And I can't fault her for that decision. It's a good decision. She's now more than capable. She has grown so much. She's more than capable of doing that. And Twilight has always prepared everything for her, and even giving her Spike in their absence. I like the callback, though. Spike does give a nice callback here at that moment, you know, back to Princess Spike, because he said, well, if I was in charge, wouldn't go well, because being a princess was hard enough. I think we all agree with you on that one, Spiky. Literally. I think we all agree with you on that one. Never change. So, Starlight now is head mayor. And she's like, and of course she says those famous 5 words that you should never, ever say in a show. Because when you say those 5 words, you're setting up for bad. The 5 words you should never say in an episode, or the 5 words that if you say them in an episode, is a sign of what's to come. What could possibly go wrong? Don't ever say that. Because now we know something's going to go wrong. Because guess what? Discord shows up. And it may not be bad on the surface. You have to think in the back of your mind, okay, Discord's here, out of the blue. He's never been to school, not one time. He's never seen the school before. What is this entailing? Well, because he thinks now he runs the joint. He now thinks he's going to be head of the school. Now that, you know, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, how could he have known that? Something doesn't add up there. But, of course, Starlight won't have any of that, of course. And then that just leads to Discord being a jerk through the entire fucking episode. Don't believe me? Watch it. I mean, seriously. No, you know what? No, this episode should not be called A Matter of Principles. This episode should be called Discord Makes Every Creature's Life a Living Hell. Because that's what he does. That is what he does throughout the entire thing. At least until the end. But that is what he does. And at one point, Glimmy, I love this, just gets so fed up. She uses this. And she blasts Discord into near oblivion. Literally. Goes into full, I'm a firing my laser on him, okay? Like, literally. And I'm thinking, OMG, she just killed Discord. And I don't know if even that was even possible. But actually all she did was she just banished his body from the school grounds. Just his body. And I don't, honestly, in that moment, like, does it set a bad example in front of the students? Yes. But I don't blame her for that. I can't blame you for that. I can't. Because she gave him multiple opportunities to knock it off. Multiple chances. She even said before she fired, this is your last warning. She even said it. And he wouldn't knock it off. And then he went on to insult her, being more of a jerk. So his body's off the grounds. Problem solved, right? They can have the scavenger hunt as normal. I think it was like the scavenger hunt, something like that. As normal, no problem. But no. Because guess who shows up in ghost form? Yeah, the grade A jerk, Discord. His bucking ghost shows up because, of course, it does. So, yeah. I will say, though, what at least saves the episode a little bit, which is why I didn't give it like a 1 or a 0. It was nice to see the Student 6 continue to work so well together. That's what I think is awesome. You know, especially my 2 favorites, Smolder and Ocellus, working together. That was cool. That was great. So then Discord, the grade A jerk, he then pops up and says and goes for, well, I won the competition. I found all the artifacts. What do I win? Spike with a great line. Detention. Well, that's not very nice. And then all the artifacts nearly drop. But then Glimmy does something surprising. She is the one apologizing to Discord. And I'm like, what? Say what? Girl, what? Why are you apologizing to him? No, she says that she wasn't exactly being a good friend because Discord felt left out, that he hadn't been invited to the school, you know, part of the school, probably didn't even know about the school at first, didn't even know about it. And then get this craziness. She decides to make Discord vice head mayor. Why? So the students, of course, not thrilled with that for obvious reasons. But he agrees naturally. But then our main 6 come back. And guess what? Discord set up the whole thing. Yeah, the whole thing. That whole chaos was, of course, that was him. But set up the whole thing because he sent them on a fake friendship quest. I don't know how he can do that with the map. I don't know how he did that. Managed to do that. Question unanswered. And the main 6 look absolutely terrible. Look worse than your main. They look terrible. We'll have to find out the story behind that one. Give us that episode, Hasbro. But yeah, that one, blue bucket chunks. It's terrible. 2 out of 10. But then, we got a good one. In fact, we got a really good one. In fact, my favorite episode of the second half thus far, and this one's going to be hard to top. Episode 16, Hearthwarming Club. Loved it. It features Student 6, which is awesome in and of itself. Hearthwarming, which there's not been a bad Hearthwarming episode yet at all, and I hope it stays that way. So it combines 2 of those things together, and we get backstory and character development for our Student 6, which is even more awesome. And a mystery on top of that, as a plot point. So intrigue all around. I love this episode. So, so to start though, a little nitpick. I mean, okay, Hasbro clearly has a thing for Christmas because this is the 4th episode they've done on Hearthwarming. 4th one we've gotten. And also odd timing in the middle of August, but okay. Now, granted, as I said, Hearthwarming episodes have not disappointed. My favorite, I will say, of the bunch is Hearthwarming Tale. That's my favorite, with Starlight. But Hearthbreakers was good with the Apples and the Pie family together, and Hearthwarming Eve stand up well on their own. But a little surprising in the timing. But anyway, it is that glorious time of year, and the students are excited, so yay, more Student 6. I was very happy with that. Especially Sambar. And he tries to get every creature to sing the song from Hearthwarming Eve. Hearthwarming Eve is here once again, that kind of thing. He's like, come on, every creature, sing! But of course, no one does it. Sambar, again, is my least favorite of the Student 6, and I say least in loose terms because I like the students, but because I guess he's already a pony, I guess that's why, and just I don't know. But yeah, that wasn't awkward. But then, so everyone's about to head out for 2 weeks of winter break, but then a shadowy figure in the background. Ooh. We got it. So here's the mystery part, and ruins it because apparently put some powder on this fire of friendship at the top of the tree, and it turns it to purple goo. It's like slime from Nickelodeon, except purple and really thick. So it is think of that, really gross. So very, very gross. But now the question becomes, who or what did it? We have a whodunit episode. Clearly, my first thought was, okay, it's someone who either really hates housewarming. Who could hate housewarming though? Well, Snowfall Frost, but you get back far away. Or didn't want every creature to leave the school, or both. But Twilight, Spike, and Rainbow Dash then discover that the shadow went into the students' rooms. Interesting. And the student 6 now are the only ones left, so dots connected. Obvious, one of them did it. Now, again, naturally, my rating of the students, my first guess would have been Sandbar, because I've still found him shady ever since the premiere. Just saying. But so now they can't go home for break because each one now has to be interrogated through the almost Spanish Inquisition with Twilight and Rainbow Dash to explain what happened, whether or not they confess or not. But the cool thing is, as each one of them goes in to have the question, we see the other students share their traditions. So, yay, student development. This is what I've been wanting to see all season. So it was nice to finally see that. And those are great. So that's why the main reason why I really love this episode, because of that. Ocellus, starting out just too cute. She's just, she warms my heart. She's just so wonderful. I should be wearing my pendant. Did I show you guys my pendant? I don't know if I did. I got this. I know this is an aside, but I got this from Silver Slinger, who is obviously one of the prominent makers of the or vendors in the Brony community. And I got this, and he has these are pendants of the Student 6. You can actually get these, and there is Smolder on the front. I don't know if you can really see her. There we go. That's a better look. There's Smolder on the front, and then you actually get two different ones on the back. And then there, of course, there is Ocellus. You can see, there we go. There's Ocellus. So yeah, just over my big old head. There we go. Cells. We have cells in the front, but so I thought her story was just so cute with the changelings there and how far they have come. Although it was also hilarious that she took Twilight's plan for heartwarming literally, too literally, and I can relate to that in a way because sometimes I think things too literally. I sometimes can't tell the difference between something literal and sarcastic. I tend to, not or tell the difference between the two. So that was cute. Then Yona explains her tradition, even though Gallus thinks all about smashing stuff and family, which it kind of is. But she does a really sweet moment when she explains how her hair got braided for the first time as part of her tradition. So that was cool. Sandbar then tries to tell a story about how his heartwarming doll, nearly fell into the fire. But that just makes it even more awkward. And then we see Sandbar's parents. Hi. Again, where were you on Friends and Family Day and school days? That's still a mystery to me. It's still kind of shady. So I don't know what that was. I'm still kind of put off by that. So that was interesting. Silverstream's story was cool. Mentions how nearly all relatives get together to celebrate the defeat of the Storm King. You know, and how a one-day celebration for her is now turned into 3 days, which is cool. Smolder shares a story, and then the Smolder story, which was kind of, you know, kind of cool, but kind of not, because in a way, I guess it was kind of expected. You know, they have a tradition called the Feast of Fire, and the dragon that shares the best story every year gets a feast full of gems, naturally, because dragons love gems. And she tells a story that won last year. And there was this dragon named Scales, and she was a cute design. I like her look. And she was depressed, so a depressing moment. And she was all lonely outside. But then the Dragon Lord at the time, now it wasn't Torture Embers, this was well before they came into power, took pity on her and actually had her come into her cave, or his cave, I can't tell if it was a he or she, and join the feast. Well, she took that opportunity of kindness to take advantage of it and took power herself. And she left the former Dragon Lord outside in her spot. So yeah, that's dark. But hey, when she said dragons are competitive, Smolder wasn't kidding in that. She mentions, you know, I like to see the weak get there. So I can't fault her for that. It is a cutthroat world in the Dragonlands, or at least it was until kind of Ember took over. So as these stories are being shared, and actually then there's still one more we have left, but there's a reason for that later on. At this point, every one of them has talked to Twilight and Dash. And the students now are clearly frustrated. No one's confessed to this. They'll have to be stuck there for 2 weeks. They all start accusing each other. You know, why are you taking it so cool? Why are you not upset? You know, why is this? You know, and then Sambar just jumps out and says, "Come on, Ocellus, we know you did it." Like, where did that come from, Sambar? What do you have against Ocellus? And you know, talk about changeling speciesist. And then they all start fighting with each other, and that sets Gallus off. For some reason, you know, and Gallus is like, and we haven't even heard from Gallus yet. Again, there's a reason for that, though. It's all kind of building up to this. And Gallus just tells him, "Hey, cut it out. Stop fighting. That's not what it's about. You know, you're all lucky that, you know, you have these traditions, because I hear you guys sharing all these stories, and it made me long for something similar." And then they're like, "Well, don't you have, you know, a tradition? Don't you have something to go back home to in Griffinstone?" And Smolder says there's like a moon festival. And he's like, "Yep, the Blue Moon Festival. The only time really that Griffins get along, or at least close to it." And we see Gilda. So we see other ones. Gilda there. Grandpa Gruff is there. Gabby's there. Haven't seen her in a long time. And there's a little unknown youngin there too. And they're together at the table. But why was Gallus not there? You know, Silverstream mentioned, so you get to spend time with the family, right? No. Gallus is an orphan, and I never would have guessed that. I never would have thought that. You know, why was, you know, Gallus so, you know, down and upset all the time in other scenes? Why is that? He doesn't have that family connection that they do. He doesn't have that at all. He's never found a place in Griffinstone. And Grandpa Gruff's just a name, not related to him. And I felt so bad for Gallus in that moment. And then sure enough, he confesses to them, "Yeah, I did it. I'm the one that put the powder in the fire of friendship. I did it because I didn't want to be alone. I didn't want to leave you guys." The students now, the friends that he's made, are the closest thing really he has to family. That's the only family he has. He doesn't have that back in Griffinstone. And he wanted to spend those 2 weeks with his friends. He wanted to spend them there. He didn't want to leave. I can understand those intentions. I can understand that. Unlike the last episode, Discord's just being a grade A jerk because he could. But this, yeah, Gallus did do wrong. He kind of approached it the wrong way. In the sense, yeah, he ruined the holiday. He made the mess. Yeah, he did wrong in that regard. But he only did it because he didn't want to leave. He didn't want to leave the family that he now has made at the school. He didn't want to have that feeling of loneliness that he's had most of his life. So apparently, clearly, the friendship school has been the best thing Gallus has ever had in his life. Like, it's been monumental. So Grandpa Gruff bringing him there, we don't know the circumstances or the events that led him to do that, but clearly they've been beneficial. Clearly it was the right thing for Grandpa Gruff to do. So I applaud him for that. It clearly was the right thing to do. He finally has something he can call family, the closest thing he's ever had. Now, granted, Twilight and Dash then come out and say, oh, we already know. We kind of figured it was you. We kind of sensed it. We knew. But the punishment that Twilight said still has to stand. You know, Gallus has to stay behind and do these one-on-one friendship lessons as punishment. But then the coolest thing happens. One by one, they say, oh, I ain't leaving you. Silverstream says, I'll stay. And then Jonas says, Jonas, I'm staying too. Marcellus, yep, I'm staying. Sandbar says, I'll stay too. And then, of course, they all look to Smolder, and she goes, what? She goes, fine. I guess Pony Holidays can't be that bad. I'm like, come on, Smolder, say yes. So seeing that, Twilight, then agrees, since it's clear that you know the value of togetherness and the holiday, why don't you be part of my Hearthstone festivities? Why don't you be part of my table at the group? So even though they don't get to enjoy their traditions back home, after all, it's nice that they get to be a part of it with Twilight and Starlight and the rest of the gang. So yay on that. So yay for another good Hearthstone episode and character development for the Student 6. My phone's getting blown up. Nate's texting me. Whoop, I got another message. Oh, all right. Not as important. So, yeah. Hearthstorming Club, yes. Great episode. Good on you. Good. I want more episodes like that, Hasbro. And then you had to go and air the worst episode of the season in series history, Buckin' Friendship University. It is the first time ever in 8 seasons of this show that I have given an episode the donut. 0, nada, 0 stars, nothing. Nothing to like about it. Nothing. Because it just ticked me off in the worst ways. All this episode is the majority of the characters being Discord in Matter of Principles. Being a grade A level jerk. Chancellor Naysay comes back. Guess what? You think he's changed any? Nope. He's still a jerk and still speciesist. Flim and Flam are back. Hey, you think those brothers are ever going to change their ways? Like from, when they were in Super Speedy Cider Squeezy 6000 and Viva Las Pegasus, and all that. You think they're ever going to change? No. No, they're not going to change because they're still jerks. Taking advantage of students. And I'm pretty sure Cozy Glow is still evil. Because I'm pretty sure it made it pretty evident that she gave a copy of Twilight's curriculum book to those two. Either that or it's really bad misdirection. But I don't think Hasbro would be that devious. I don't think. We get it. Blackmail and jealousy are bad, 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 bad. We get it. But they hammer it in your head throughout the entire episode. And Star Swirl was in this episode. And I was actually excited to see him at first because we have not seen the pillars since Shadowplay. We had not seen any of them at all since then. And now we get to see one of them. And the main one at that. He made a horrible error in judgment And they didn't even bother to check out Twilight School before going to Flim and Flam at Friendship University. Didn't even bother. Just, oh, this looks legit. He clearly still has a lot to learn. I don't really want to talk about this episode much. It pains me to talk about it, as you can clearly see. It hurts my brain. I honestly, I couldn't wait to see what the other reviewers said about it, and some of them are disappointed. Others are blown away. Oh, this is a great episode. Nah, I don't know what value you got out of it, but I didn't. It full on ticked me off, hurt me mentally, hurt me emotionally, left me with the biggest gut punches of the season, and it made me almost want to throw something at my TV. But I'm thankful I have some level of self-control, because that would have been also bad. That would have been really bad. Like, at this moment, I'm thinking, Season 8, are you trying to end Gen 4 on a painful, depressing note? Like, are you trying? Is that your aim here? Like, the only good episode you gave at that point was Heartwarming Club. And maybe it's setting up for them to be heroes in the end. I don't know. Maybe. It's a shot in the dark ballpark. Yes, I don't know. Maybe. But, oh boy. Making every creature else look like a grade A jerk. Is that your way of accomplishing that? That ain't cool. It ain't this. No. Friendship University gets a big no in my book. Zippo out of 10. Nothing. But the last episode, I will say, The End and Friend. Now, the title like that, The End and Friend, also I was hesitant about, because that sounds like, oh boy, a friendship's going to end. That sounds like we're going to have something happen where a friendship is ending. So that alone sounded like we're in for a long, rough episode, because especially with some of the early screenshots I saw, and guys, I know I've been trying hard to avoid leaks and early episode releases, like I know there's some in Australia and other countries and everything, and it's been hard. But here's the thing: like, I can't block or mute everybody on Twitter. I can't do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that guy that says, "No, I block you because you're posting stuff." No. I don't want to be that guy. You know, unless you're doing it deliberately to just tick the fandom off, and, you know, okay, what have you. But you know, I keep seeing these screenshots, and it's like, I don't want to block you. I don't want to mute you. I don't want to do that. But it's like, it's hard not to view these spoilers. So with some of the screenshots I saw for this episode, I'm like, oh boy, we're going to have a conflict here that's going to lead to the end of a friendship. This might get a little rough. Actually, I mean, yeah, it started off rough, but it was another one of those episodes where the second act saved the episode. Like, it really legitimately did. It really saved the episode, and that was huge. So, and I just watched it a little bit ago. Just watched it actually before I went live. I just watched it before, and I watched Apple Geek's review of it. So, so apparently this is a Rarity Rainbow Dash episode, which we really haven't had a whole lot of in the series. You know, we think maybe the last one we had was Rarity Investigates. That was it when they interacted. We really haven't had much between those two. So Twilight. So at the start, you know, in Twilight's class, you know, we see the students again. Yay, all of them together. So Twilight's kind of hyping up their friendships, kind of using them as an example of compromise and how they work so well together. But again, based on the episode title, I kind of feeling, you know, is that not going to stay? Is that going to fall apart later? You know, what's going to happen here? And just a few minutes in, like, oh, and goodness, I'm getting non-compete clause vibes because the two are already disagreeing with each other. And Smolder right away. Thank you, Smolder. Thank Thank you, Smolder. Right away, she's like, you know, this isn't exactly compromise. You two can't even agree on what you're going to do together to spend the day together. It's kind of, you know, hard, you know, when they're going to do it. You know, and of course we all think, oh, Celis is the smart one of the group. Well, Smolder's not dumb either. Smolder has some intelligence too. He's clearly, I think, one of the more vigilant of the group. And then Gallus, of course, makes a nice observation of all creatures. Gallus comes up and says, yeah, well, you two have nothing in common. How can you be friends with each other? And that's definitely, you know, it's like, oh, no. You know, nervous laughter from both of them. It's like, how's this going to play out? There were a couple nice callbacks. They made reference to then talk and make reference back to, oh, Rainbow Dash says, oh, I remember this one, you know, when I was at the Best Flyers competition and I saved Rarity's life falling out of the sky with those wings. So call back to Sonic Rainboom. And then Rarity calls back to Rarity Investigates, says, yes, and I exonerated Rainbow Dash from a crime she didn't commit, nearly got her kicked out of the Wonder Bolts or out of the reserve. So, you know, it's so they've shared they have shared some good experiences together. But besides that, they really haven't had a whole lot. So honestly, I didn't think the students were going to be overly impressed right away. And then Starlight, of course, then jumps in. The guidance council role she is. She jumps in and kind of saves the tension of the moment by, you know, saying, you know what, sometimes they, you know, don't have to, you know, have that much in common. So eventually they go to spend their day together, and at first they are doing buckball, Rainbow Dash. One of Rainbow Dash's favorite things, of course, with buckball. So call that kind of the buckball season. And Brayburn came out. I should have brought my Brayburn plush from downstairs. Brayburn is been there briefly. I haven't seen you in a minute, so nice to see him again. And Rarity is not even paying attention while the game's going on. And the students are seeing all this. They're kind of their audience for the day. Twilight kind of sees this as a learning opportunity to see how well they actually do interact, and not exactly presenting a very good example because, you know, the students are seeing all this. So again, here's the thing. Again, I say, throughout this season, the students are learning more about what not to do in friendship than friendship itself. Like they're learning, but kind of in the wrong way. Like they're, I don't know, like they're figuring it out on their own, seeing what not to do from the main six, their professors. So it's kind of, you know, again, it's kind of backwards. And I hate to make this joke, but if anything, this season is showing how flawed our educational system is. It's pretty bad. And if you'll notice, as the buckball's going on, Gallus is not impressed. Like, he's got that not impressed face. Like, he's the only one of the student six without a smile on his face after Twilight tries to explain their fighting. Although it's usually how he is anyway, because Griffins. and then they go shopping. So then after Rainbow's thing, they go do Rarity's thing, which is shopping. Rainbow Dash is fashion clueless and clearly hates glitter. Like, she is not getting any of this. She's bored to death, you know, doesn't like it. And Twilight, honey, like, no matter what way you try to spin it, like, you know, oh, yeah, they're just doing banter. Yeah, no matter how you spin it, I don't think these smart students of ours are going to buy what you're selling them, okay? They're not going to do it. They know what's going on. They get it. They're not agreeing. They know what's going on. So, yeah, they're not falling for this in any way. But then we have a new activity, treasure hunting, or at least going into the gem cave. You know, we've seen the gem cave many times before in this show. I think it's always nice when we get a call back to it. So we get in the gem cave, and Rarity is trying to track down gems apparently for her collection, but Rainbow Dash is all gung-ho like, oh, we're going to find treasure in here. Awesome. We can agree on this. So he thinks. Wow, that was odd. Rainbow Dash, she is the tomboy of the group. I think at this moment, like, because Rainbow Dash is doing all this pounding on the rocks and trying to find a secret door. You know, I kind of get I maybe kind of got the blue regard feel from the strong imaginary friends, secret door, secret door, secret door. You know, I got to find the secret door. I think Maud would have felt disturbance in the rock force because of all that pounding that Dash was doing. And so does Rarity because she's annoyed by it. And then that leads to Rarity's cart of gemstones getting ruined and breaking like glass. And here we go again at each other's throats because of what the point of being in the cave was. So yeah, the dominoes just keep falling for these two. I have a feeling it's going to lead to the end. So yeah, Twilight, it's pretty clear. These two are OVAH, OVA, okay? You know, no amount of words that you're going to say are going to convince them otherwise, or convince the students otherwise. And when Rarity then even went all Rodney Dangerfield with the no respect, you have no respect for me at all line. Yeah, I knew it was over. At that point, I knew. So, and at that point, I am thinking to myself, GM Barra wrote this episode, by the way, and I'm thinking, Jillian, what are you doing? What are you doing? You've written some amazing episodes in this show, and you're going to continue the season of Jerks theme in a way when you're killing off one of the main 6 friendships? Where are you going with this? Like, I was just, this was devastating to me. But thankfully, we have Glimmy. And thankfully, Guidance Counselor Starlight comes in and continues to be our voice of reason. So she sits down with them. She knows clearly there's a divide here. Clearly there's some rifts. There's some issues. Clearly they don't want to even be friends anymore. So she says, no, we got to find a way to get you to reconnect. We have to find something, some way, a common goal for you to reconnect. And first thing she tries, reading. Yeah, because they share that in common. You know, I know Dash likes to read, Daring do, but then okay, Rarity likes that one mystery character. Yeah, okay. So makes sense. You know, but I think to myself, are you sure, Glimmy, you're taking the right approach with this? Are you thinking right here? Well, she at least tries it. But just as I thought, they can't find anything like by the books. Neither liked the book, but as later find out, neither read each other's books. You know, highlighter in the background. I'm fine. I don't see lighter very often, okay? So, yeah, Glimmy, I think in that moment you were right to realize you definitely needed help on this one. You needed reinforcements. You needed backups. And at least she, unlike some other ponies, is quick to realize when things aren't going very well. So then we have this, moment where, Starlight's like, your drama can wait. Twilight needs you now, like now. She says now, she needs you now. So they go back into the castle, and Twilight's freaking out, but it's kind of like an over-the-top freak out. It's not like your traditional Twilight freak out. It's kind of like an over-the-top acting freak out. Yeah, this is totally staged. I knew it right away. Like, this is totally a setup. Her over-the-top reaction, like a normal freak out, it proves it. Apparently this amulet is missing. I forget what the name of it was, but the amulet of Aurora, what was the name of it, is missing, and supposedly it can, if in the wrong hooves, it can create tsunamis and stuff all over Equestria, and it can be in danger. So they have to find it. But no, I knew that. I'm thinking to myself, no way that works either, because it just seems too crazy for it to work. And I'm thinking back to Horseplay. I'm thinking, did Celestia's horrible acting skills not teach you anything at all, Twilight? But as I watched it, as it played out, I'm thinking, well, maybe it's kind of legit. Maybe it is. And an amulet like that going missing is a pretty big deal. So Twilight and Starlight say, okay, we're going to work on a locator spell. But you two try to, get some clues, gather things up, try to, hunt for it together. So Rarity and Dash then work together to, put together some clues. So then, of course, during that time, they discover then, while on the trail, Dash is like, oh, the glitter speck, the specks of blue glitter, they're made of this material that was in the Daring Do book that you just read. And Rarity's like, oh, yeah, the book that I just read. Like, seriously, you didn't read it either? Yeah, what a shocker. And as they go on, it starts to become actually a bit of a challenge. And it made me wonder at that point, like, okay, who's behind this? Like, seriously, like, I was really starting to wonder, like, who's behind this? Someone has to be working with Twilight and Starlight in this. Like, this, it's not this random. Like, it can't be random circumstance. Like, this, there has to be some creature involved in this. But as they go through this, they kind of start learning different things about each other that they really didn't know before. For example, they're at this swamp, and and Rarity's like, "Oh, Dash, you can just fly, right across it." But then Dash's like, "Nope, these guys are shooting up these. If my feathers get burned off, I'll be out of the Wonderbolts for weeks," which is probably true. But then Rarity all of a sudden builds this raft that Starlight mentioned in the Daring Do book, and it's like, and Dash's like, "That was awesome," but then like denies it. I'm like, come on. Don't deny it, Dash. You didn't know Rarity had building skills like that. You even said it was awesome. She gets your seal of approval. And then we get a new weird creature, some frog-looking thing. I forget the actual name of it. It's a weird name. Frog-looking thing. It's got like 6 eyes, and and not a very loud voice. That was kind of interesting. And it has really bad breath. So very, very creepy. But Rarity and Rainbow Dash come up with a plan together, and it works. So this is actually working. This is legit. This is cool. And then I notice the door they come to after Rainbow Dash, lifts Rarity over, flies her up to the next, over the swamp into the next place. And the door. Why is the Friendship School symbol on it? That had me wondering. So again, I get the feeling that someone's working with them to pull this off. So then we get a quick apology sequence, kind of a quick resolution of, of everything. Like, oh, I'm sorry that I thought this way. I'm sorry I thought this way too. I shouldn't have. Kind of quick, kind of rushed. And then Rarity used one of her glitter boots for a key. Okay. It's off to find the amulets. And what do you know? It leads right into the school. And what do you know? I called it, not exactly who, but someone else. Spike had it the whole time. And it led to the school, and everyone's right there watching. You're all in this together, I tells ya. All in it together. But hey, here's the thing. I can't fault the fact it worked. It kept their friendship, and the moral works. Sometimes you do need a reminder that even though you don't share the same interests with somebody, you shouldn't dismiss their interests entirely. You shouldn't do that. You should have respect for them and find a common goal or a common ground. And who knows? You may end up learning some surprising things about that individual that really you never knew before. So, try it out. So yeah, this had the feel of a rough episode at first, but I guess that also goes another lesson. Don't judge an episode by its title or its screenshots. Don't judge it by its cover, The second act kind of saved it for me. I mean, yeah, and it was kind of predictable with, the Twilight over-the-top acting and giving away the, staging the whole thing, the lost amulet, and that kind of thing. But again, it worked. Rarity and Dash needed a kick-in-the-flank reminder of why they work so well together. Jillian, sometimes you're deviously brilliant. I think Starlight would approve of that. So definitely this is one of the better episodes of the second half of the season. It's not as good as Heartwarming Club, but it's up there. I gave it 7 out of 10 stars, kind of put it in the middle of the season. I have it as 10th favorite overall of 18 episodes so far, but definitely my second favorite of the second half so far. Nice change of pace from what we've seen, and I really hope that in the coming weeks we're going to see more episodes like this, because we need strong episodes to say the second half. This second half has been mostly a bitter disappointment, so I'm hoping that we get good episodes to come from here on out. All right, so that's my rants on conventions. That's my rants on episodes. So after all that ranting and raving, let's end on a good note. Let's end with a couple good stories. First off, as you guys probably know, if you follow me on Twitter or if you followed me for years or if I mentioned my other episodes, I I'm a big mascot fan. You guys know this. I mentioned in my last episode the mascot Pee Wee game and how that went in Carmel this year, and I had mentioned that I was a bit disappointed. Speaking of disappointments and feeling frustrated and pain, I was a bit disappointed that Rory, the mascot from the Detroit Lions, who was at the summit, did meetings, was there, and was on the poster. When I went to the game that day, Rory was nowhere to be found. Wasn't in the autograph lines, and that hurt me a bit because I was prepared. I didn't, here's the thing. I never wear one of my jerseys in the mascot game because I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to ruffle any feathers. I have my custom mascot jerseys and I don't want to wear anything to take another mascot off. So I wore my normal Madden shirt, wore my normal pants that I had, but I wore my Lions stuff from the legs down. I had my Lions football socks, and I had my the same shoes Rory originally had before he switched. So I was really looking forward to him being there. So that's why I was so disappointed. He tweeted back to me on Twitter. I'm so glad he reached out, and he said, well, something came up that enabled me not to be there. And I may know what that something was. Not going to say on here, but I might know what that was. So something came up. I couldn't be there, but if you get back to me with your name and your address, I will send you some autograph cards. And I did that, and so I did that, and I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and it was 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks became 3, and I reached out again, and I said, I said a couple of days before, I said, when it was like 2 weeks out, I said, hey, just checking in, wondering, I understand you're busy with training camp and all that and other community events. I get that. Mascot Live's going to be busy. I understand that. But just curious, what's the status of, everything? What's going on? Can I get, none of our person can come out to me. Didn't hear anything back. So at this point, I was getting more disappointed. I was, at that point, I was like, I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what was going on. It's kind of like it brought me back up to the time that I wrote another mascot, the NJ Diddle thing. I wrote him a letter and heard nothing back. I was kind of in that same darkness again. Like, is he going to come through here? Is it going to really happen? Sure enough, though, 3 weeks after, August 3rd, pretty much, 3 weeks and a day after the game, I get this. I get this. Official letterhead, official letter from the Lions, official. And, it says Allen Park, Detroit Lions, right here. So, yeah. Official. And I got them. Autograph cards in the mail. Now, I only have 4 here. He sent me 5. I did, because one is on my wall with the letter that Rory wrote me. He basically said, thanks for your continuous support. Thanks for being a fantastic fan. Enjoy the autograph cards. Best wishes. So this was very cool. I very much appreciated this. It's the first time I've ever gotten something actually back from, aside from going to an event. It's the first time I've gotten anything in the mail from a mascot. So thank you, Rory, for reaching out. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for getting back to me. That means so much. I can't thank you enough. I hope you'll make it to Indy next year. I hope you'll be at the game next year. I would really love to meet you. So thank you for the kindness again. That was just so cool. So yeah, that was absolutely awesome. All right, and then finally, one last thing. Finally, you're probably wondering why I've had my Starlight plush sitting here kind of on a pedestal, literally, this whole time. Why has she been here? Why have you been in the episode? Why have you been here? Well, I will tell you. I'm so excited about this. One of the community guests that I met at Winnie City, Luck Rock, who is big in the Brony music community, has a very neat website that you do voting for, you know, who's the better character, who's the best pony, who's the better character, that kind of thing. You know, and he has all kinds in his database. And the site, I think, is correct me if I'm wrong, Luck, but I think it's like whoisbestpony.xyz, something like that. So it's a website where there are 2 random pictures pop up of characters from the show, and you just vote on which one you think is better. Click on it, goes to the next one, and you actually see their win-loss records and their, you know, results as you see these matchups, and you get some really good matchups. For me, I've had some hard matchups, had some easy matchups. It's a nice variety to have, and Luck is continually updating this database every single day. Well, Luck decided to actually have and seed a 64 character tournament based on the the win-loss records of the characters that he has on his website. So he had, you know, all. Here we go. Thankfully I did keep this. So he did have 64 characters from that do the best on the website and put them in and seeded them in a tournament. And then he would post one matchup to Twitter per day and have the 24-hour vote cycle, and then post a new one. And then the one that got the most votes moved on to the next round. And of course, me being, you know, the big fans of several ponies throughout the show, I wanted to see one of my favorites win. But of course, with Starlight now being my #1 favorite pony, I really was pushing for her to win. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. She won. She won Luck Rock's contest, and I was just so ecstatic. I was so thrilled that she won. Her run through the tournament, in the first round, she easily beat Night Glider 84% to 16%. Second round, she beat Princess Luna. Now, that was the closest competition. I know there's a lot of Luna fans in the fandom, but she barely got by Princess Luna, 53 to 47%. Very close matchup there. Then the rest of her matchups were pretty easy. She actually pretty easily beat Applejack, 65 to 35%. I was quite surprised at the big gap there. Then she blew past Scootaloo, 84 to 16% again for the second time that margin happened. And then in the final 4, she breezed past Sunset Shimmer, 70 to 30%. I was glad that happened because I'm surprised Sunset made it as far as she did, because again, her character as a pony is not in the actual show. Still mad about that. Maybe it'll happen. Maybe it'll happen one day. And then the final, she beat Minuet, which I was surprised that Minuet has as big a following as she does. You guys remember Minuet, you know, or some of known Colgate? Yeah, the dentist pony, one of Twilight's old friends. Yeah, you know, original friends. Yeah, she made it to the final, and she beat like 3 of the main 6 to even get there. She beat, I don't know how, she beat Brayburn, she beat Spike barely, she beat Pinkie Pie barely, she beat Twilight 59 to 41%. How does that happen? And then she beat Rainbow Dash barely, 52 to 48%. So I guess I never knew she had such a big following, but Glim Nation, we are strong. She was able to pull off the victory, and I was so thrilled. There were a lot of upsets in this tournament. Some big surprises made deep runs. Like, you know, in the top 16 alone, you know, Big Mac made the top 16, Scoots made the top 16, Lyra made the top 16. I was thrilled at that, but then she lost to Rarity. Sweetie Belle made the top 16. Maud made the top 16. Countess Coloratura lost to Twilight barely. So, yeah, real interesting to see how the fandom, who the fandom really gravitates to. So, very cool to see that. Now, Luck has also said that he then will make, toward the end of the season, end of season 8, he's going to have 128 character tournaments. So, back-to-back potentially. I hope so. But I was very happy that you won. Mwah. I was very happy, very thrilled that you won. I was so proud. I was very, very proud that you won. So, yes, I was very proud that you won. So, so on that happy note, after all the ranting and raving from the start of this, that's going to be it, guys. Thank you all so much again for tuning in, for your patience, for understanding. I know that, you know, it takes long sometimes for me to get these up, and because of many things, but I try. I try to get one out there every month, at least one. At least the goal is 2, but at least to get one out there every month. That's my goal. And even though FFSR is coming up next month, the week 1 preview will be right around the corner. The week, of course, of September 9th when the games kick off for real. I'm still going to try to at least do 1 ATSD at the bare minimum. Because we got it, you know, because we still got a lot of this season left. You still got conventions to talk about. There's still going to be a lot going on in Pony. And I also will say this. I have seen kind of the plans for Gen 5, and I'm hoping that most of them are not true. Because I really don't like what I see in a lot of them. But who knows? You know, time will tell. You know, you don't want to buy too much into things that are out there. You don't want to believe everything you read on the internet, you know, but, you know, time will tell. But from what I have seen on that, I'm not thrilled with it, but we'll see what actually happens. So, yeah. So the next ATSD video, it probably will not be until September. It'll probably be early September at the earliest, but probably won't conflict with week 1 of FFSR. So just keep that in mind. So till then, I thank you guys for watching. I thank you guys for tuning in, for your subscribing, for viewing. Thank you so much. I enjoy talking about all this with you guys because I love it, and I just thank you for your viewing. So give the video a thumbs up if you like it. Spread the word. And I will see you guys early in September for week 1 of FFSR and episode 22 of ATSD. This is Spiky Dash signing